Hi everyone, it's Tasleem here. And just in case you were wondering, yes, you read the title of this video correctly. I, Tasleem, ghosted someone and it actually felt really good. I'm going to explain. And to be honest, I'm not even sure if I'm using the word correctly. Like ghosting to me is like this, there's so many variations of what ghosting is. And the point of this video actually isn't about whether it's ghosting or not. I promise you, it's actually kind of related to my last video that I did on the earth element and dance. So if you stick through this video, you'll see where I'm going with this. But I have to first tell you about the situation with the date and the dating and how this all happened. So there was this guy recently who was here in Vancouver from Spain. He's here and he works here, but he's only been here for a couple months. And we connected and we thought we would meet up, and like he seemed interested and I was open to it. And he seemed to have like this really like he has a really big job and a huge responsibility, and he's obviously works really hard and is very talented and creative and science like engineer minded. And I was like really impressed by what he does and how he thinks. And he also has this creative side where he's artistic and he likes different types of music. So, and he speaks Spanish as his first language, and he wanted to improve his English. I love learning Spanish. So it was like, it seemed like such a good fit, either way, even if it wasn't like a romantic thing, it would just be nice to meet up. So we had planned to, well, plan is a loose term here because that was part of the issue, but we had decided that we were going to meet on a certain day. And when that day came, like we had kind of messaged in between, but when that day finally came, on that day, he had messaged me later saying like, where are we meeting or what time? And I was kind of confused because we hadn't like set the time and place beforehand. So I assumed that we weren't meeting. So I had made other plans. And I told him that. And he said, I'm so sorry. And he actually really apologized. I said, I just like to plan things ahead of time, especially when I don't really know the person. And it makes my time, like I feel like he then is valuing my time and I'm valuing his time. And he said, I totally agree. It's all my fault. And he's like, I hope you'll give me another chance because I'd really like to go out with you. So we decided to meet again on another day or another weekend, and we went just out for coffee. And it was a nice way to just get a sense of each other. We were laughing beforehand. We were like, we're not even sure if we're going to be able to communicate because I wasn't sure how much English he knew, and I didn't know if any Spanish would be still in my body, like to remember, because I haven't studied it or used it in a long time. But it was fine, and we were actually really helping each other out. We both had questions of English and Spanish, and it was really fun. So we were messaging again after that day that we met, and we decided we would meet up again. He asked me to go out again. And again, we decided to go to a coffee shop. And this time we both made sure like that we made a plan to set where and what time and what day like in advance. And that felt really good to me. So that time we went out again and we were getting to know each other more at that point, and he made it more apparent that he was more interested in me, like not just to learn English. And I was open to it, but I told him like I like to take my time and I like it when I feel like someone's really trying to get to know me. And he seemed okay with that. He had mentioned that he had drawn, like, had one of my pictures, and he had drawn a picture of me. And so, I thought it was really sweet. Like, there were some sweet things that he was doing, but I was like, okay, I feel like this is sweet if we were in a relationship or if we were already dating, but I'm still trying to like get to know this person. So I was aware that there were some things that were coming to me that were like, okay, he's a little bit further into this than I am. And it's a little strange because we've just met. But I was like, I don't know if it's a language thing. I don't know if it's a cultural thing. I know because he's Spanish, he just would make jokes that he's just very romantic. And I was like, okay, that's nice. Like it's, I'm not gonna fault him for that. But I was just very aware that there were some things, like even when we would message each other, he would say like, I miss you, or he would send me like a kissing emoji. And I was like, okay, I'm not gonna make a big deal of it, but I'm not gonna say I miss you back because I don't, it's not even like an insult to him. It's just like, I don't know you long enough to say I miss you. And if we were dating down the line, like, I would prefer that you say these things when you actually feel them and you actually know me rather than right at the start, because then I don't know. Anyway. So I was kind of like ignoring some of this. Like I knew that there were little things that were like, I don't know what to make of this. It's sweet, but it's a little too early. Anyway, so the next time we were supposed to meet was a few days ago on the weekend. And this time, a day or two beforehand, he said, or maybe a day before, he asked me, what do I want to do? And I think, oh yeah, no, it was like the night before or something. And again, by that time, because we had set a day, but we hadn't planned anything. And the fact that he was asking me what I want to do, and it didn't feel like he was going to be like taking me out on a date. It was like, oh, maybe we're having coffee again. Maybe we're just sitting to talk about languages again. Like, I didn't know what was going on. So I was like, I already made plans. Like the next day, I messaged him and I said, and that was the day we were supposed to meet. I said, I've already made plans during the day because we didn't plan what we were doing or what time or anything and where. So maybe if in the evening, like I was trying to make space for it just to be nice. But I didn't feel good about it because I was like, okay, this is happening again. And it bothered me because he's so obviously very on time, very planning ahead in his job. He's has so many responsibilities. He works really hard, you can tell. And the type of job that he has, like he can't slack off on that kind of stuff. But I felt like he was sort of like, yeah, well, Tasleem, like, who cares? Like, I can just plan something with her last minute. So I thank God for Google Translate because the next thing that happened, if it wasn't for Google Translate, I would have completely misunderstood what he said. He wrote me a message after I messaged him and said, like, I made other plans because we didn't set a time and place again, and you didn't say what you wanted to do, and I didn't get your message till late last night. And he wrote me something in Spanish. Like, I think my basic Spanish is pretty good, especially when I see it in writing. So when I saw his message, the way he worded it, it was sort of like, when you say it's not very good, so like the word good is in there. Like we say that in English. If you translate that in Spanish, because I saw the word good in there, I thought he was saying something like that was okay. Like he was kind of like, that's okay or whatever. But then I noticed like there's a word feo, which means ugly, and inelegante at the end of the sentence. So I was like, good, feo, inelegante. I don't get the way that this sentence is structured. And thank God for Google Translate, because in my mind, I thought he was saying something like, that's okay. I don't know. I don't know what I thought. Like, I don't know what I thought. I didn't think it was a big deal. But when I Google translated it, it said, the translation was, what you are doing, it is not good what you're doing. It's very ugly and inelegant, like not classy. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, what? Like, me? I'm the problem? Like, you can't even ask a girl on a proper date. Like, we keep going to coffee shops. You're sending me I miss you messages. And I don't know if I told you this earlier, but he said that he took one of my pictures and he drew my face and he loved my eyes and he wanted to give me the picture. I thought it was really sweet, but I'm like, it's a lot too soon. And I wrongly took that as like, oh, he really likes me and he is this really sweet guy. But he was pushing on me to feel the same way that he felt in like a couple of dates. And the weird thing is that I might have actually been interested in him over time, but I didn't feel like I got the space to get to know him enough. Like, so when he said that, I was kind of like furious. I was like, I'm ugly and not classy. Like, you're 50 or something, and you can't ask a girl on a proper date and set a time and a place and just say, like, hey, what would you like to do? Okay, I'm going to make reservations here. No, you have to meet me at a coffee shop and you have to keep asking me what I'm going to do. And you don't know how to plan things ahead of time. And I've been really nice because you're here only, like, you've only been here a couple months. And I thought maybe it was a language thing. Maybe it was the COVID thing. You know, we're trying to be careful because of COVID. And I was like, screw this. Like, so the old Tasleem would have written back and said, try to explain. Now, some of you out there might be thinking, why would you do that, Tasleem? And others of you might be thinking, oh yeah, that would make sense. But the thing is that is my earth element out of balance. So in my last video, I was talking about how earth element is all about a giver. Like an earth element person is all about giving. They want everyone to feel comfortable. They don't like conflict. They want everyone to feel included. They like to give. They have trouble receiving. And an out of balance earth doesn't know how to set boundaries. They just want everyone to feel good, but they forget to allow themselves to feel good. So in the past, I would have been the girl that would have been like, oh my God, he took this the wrong way. Let me call him and say, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know if that's a Canadian thing, a Vancouver thing, or just an earth element thing, or a really bad combination of the two. But I would have apologized for something that I shouldn't be apologizing for. And I would have tried to make it better because I didn't want this person on earth, pun intended or not, I'm not sure, to not like me or think badly of me or think that I was doing something not classy or ugly or whatever he called me. Because earth people want everyone to like them. They see the good in everyone else. And in my last video, I was talking about how, like, when you're so much in that space, you don't make space for yourself and your own values and what you stand for. And you give so much to other people, and then you're depleted of your own energy. And I was saying how Kizomba, especially, really allowed me to get back into the earth because of the grounding movements and like really stand my ground, and not in an offensive way, but just be like, oh, I'm here on earth too. Like, I have a right to be here. I have a right to my time being valued, my body, my presence, you being in my presence, like that should be valued. But in the past, I would have said to this guy, oh, I'm so sorry. I think there's been a misunderstanding. Let's figure this out. I wasn't trying to be, you know, manipulative or flaky or whatever. But I realized in that moment that I don't want to be like that anymore, because like this guy to me was part of the problem. Like, he just invested in me so quickly, which I think I've gotten a habit. I didn't realize it, but I have been love bombed before like that. Where I think someone really genuinely, and I think he really thinks he really liked me. And I can see like that he wasn't trying to manipulate. He wasn't saying all that just to like pretend to like me. But then when I wasn't like at the same space as him saying, I miss you, and yeah, okay, let's just meet here and at this time now at the last minute because you can't plan things earlier. Like, I was being so accommodating in the past, and this time I was just like, nope. He didn't. So this is the reason I don't know why this is. I don't know if this is even ghosting, because I didn't just disappear. Because maybe he was planning never to message me again, but I ended up blocking him and not responding, blocking him, deleting him from my phone, and being like, that's okay. And it felt so, I know in this video I called it and it felt really good, but I have to say right at the start, it all felt so bad. Like, I was so upset that he said what he said, and I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm not like that. But then, and then I was like, I wanted to explain, and then when I did block him and delete him, I felt rattled for like a bit of the day, and I was like, how did this happen? But then I was like, no, I need to just let this go, because earth element people that hang on to that kind of stuff, they get so boggled down and weighted that they move sluggishly throughout the world, like, because they're worried about what other people think, and they're worried about their loved ones, and they're worried about what's happening in the world, and they take on so much. And I was like, I can't do that to myself anymore. I need some lightness. I need some, let this go off my shoulders. And the weirdest part about this is that I realized that part of the reason that I used to try to explain or be compassionate if someone did this kind of love bombing thing to me before was that, I hate to admit it, but I'm sure that I used to be a love bomber. I know there's all this terminology. It doesn't really matter what it means, right? Like ghosting, love bombing, that's not the point. But in just simple terms, I felt like I was ghosting him because I just was like, screw that, and I left and I didn't explain. But like I said, maybe he wasn't planning to message me anyway because he called me ugly, or the things I was doing ugly and not classy. But I also realized that what he was doing was like love bombing me. Like, I miss you. I drew this picture of you. When are we getting together again? He didn't care if he planned things because he just figured, like, oh, I want to see her and she must want to see me. And like, not thinking like to take things slow and to actually get to know me first and see whether we're a good fit. Like, it wasn't like he didn't seem to care about that. He had already decided before knowing me. And he was upset that I wasn't there with him, like sort of saying, oh, yeah, it doesn't matter. We'll just do things at the last minute. But the thing is that the reason that I could be compassionate for so long when people did this to me, because this has happened to me quite a few times, especially in the past like year or two or so, is because I know how they feel. Because I realize that I've done that in the past where I like thought that something was more than it was because I wanted it to be, and I would like, I don't know, make something for someone or like do something that I thought was really sweet, but it was like too soon and too fast and too much without knowing them. Like, they hadn't earned that for me to do that. And I also didn't give them the chance to get to know me, and I didn't give myself a chance to even see if this person actually is right for me. So this video is not just to say, hey, like, I ghosted someone and I don't really care about them or anybody else, like, I'm going to do this all the time. It was also like such a huge lesson and a mirror to me. You know, they say that sometimes we attract mirror images of what we do to ourselves or what we're like to ourselves, and or what we're like to other people maybe. um and this guy made me realize, and I'm so embarrassed to say it, that I have been a love bomber in the past. And this incident really made me see it for what it was and to see myself for what I had done, because sometimes we just crave that romance and that love, and we just think like, oh, this is the person that I've been waiting for, like. But the lesson and the thing that I really value from going through this is to actually take the time to get to know whether this person is the right person, to speak out when, you know, maybe they are sending me things or giving me things that are a little bit too early, too fast, or saying things. And maybe I needed to say, like, right off the bat, look, I like, maybe I needed to make it more clear, or I just needed to make it more clear to myself that this is not the right person for me because he's rushing ahead. Anyway, I wanted to share this video with you because I wanted to give you an example of how, what can happen with when an earth element, like someone who's prominently out of their, like, their prominent element is earth, which is me, but it's out of balance, what can happen. And I've also talked about in other videos about some of the other elements like fire and wood and water and so forth. This is a good time for my wood element and my fire element to show up to help me, to stand my ground, to set good boundaries, to speak up. The wood element is like a little bit more cutting and abrupt and sort of doesn't have a problem speaking up and setting boundaries. The fire element is a little bit more like raw, like, you know, like instead of the way that I was like this passive, like unbalanced earth element, just sitting back and thinking, okay, well, he seems nice and maybe I just need to go with it and be nurturing and caring of him because he's new in the city and he maybe doesn't get the culture here as far as dating or whatever. But I'm like, no, he's in his 50s. He's like almost 50 or 50. He's a grown man. He has an amazing job. He made it through the world all these years by himself, or like, you know, like, I'm sure he can figure it out, and I need to take care of myself, and I need someone who's willing to, like, look out for me as well, and he wasn't, obviously, if he can call me ugly and inelegant. Obviously, he doesn't know what I'm really like. No, I'm just being silly, but, yeah, so there are some examples of the elements and how when they're out of balance, they can show up in our lives to sabotage us and what we really need and what we really want. And this is another reason that I love dance so much, because dance is helping me see what is really in front of me. And it's helping me use my intuition. It's helping me to not feel so guilty if I cut someone off or quote unquote ghost them, because I'm here. I have a right to be here as well, and to live and be in a relationship or meet someone that is more in touch with who I really am and actually wants to get to know me for who I am. So, anyway, thank you so much for listening. If you have any comments, criticisms, anything about this, I would be happy to hear it. If you know exactly what ghosting is, or you think like you have a better explanation of it, or if you've had any experiences like this, either as the love bomber or being love bomb or being the ghoster or the ghosty, I don't know what the right word is. Let me know. I will talk to you soon. Thanks for listening.